I stay here, rot is setting in, feeding up and ravishing. Silent screams for me begin to block out everything. Direction lost and eyes are blind, body tired and my face lined up. Why the hell can I not find where I need to begin?
Woo. Kaz, hi. Are you here? Hi, how are you? Hi, Simba. Hi. Hi.
How's it going?
What the eco diving is about?
So it's about removing coastal waste. Basically, they're filtering microplastics inside the deep seas and everything. And I thought there's so much new trash going every day that, you know, we should also be controlling the plastics going in every day through the coasts. And the idea is it's a contest, so it's a treasure hunt. We go out for dives, for snorkeling trips, but if we see plastic or a t-shirt or something that shouldn't be in the ocean, if the client picks it up, they earn points. And then they gather up these points, they have a score, and the 4 people with the highest score, they get to go to the Maldives for 10 days, all included. We're gonna clean up there, we're gonna do diving trips. I don't want them to pay for anything, basically everything is included. And I'm trying to get people excited about the cleanups, because the cleanups are actually a lot of fun to do. It's something that when I started, I was a client. I was not a professional diver at all. And I was looking for this service. I wanted to find a diving center that would take me up on cleanups, and it just didn't exist. So I thought, I'm gonna make my own. You know, I'll create a cleanup situation that is fun, and try to encourage diving centers worldwide to also participate and also do cleanups.
When the competition ends?
It would end November 2022, so that's when we close. Then November, December, we get things organized, people's schedules, when they can travel, when they can't travel, all that. It's 4 people, we have to get coordinated.
4 people go to Maldives with the higher scores?
Yes, 2 snorkelers and 2 divers, so 2 scuba divers. Probably, I mean, not for sure, a photographer. I'm gonna take a photographer as well, so we wanna get that documented. Yeah, like when these people are all organized, some February, something like that, we go to the Maldives.
You actually got into diving on Maldives. When you got there, you just didn't want to leave.
No, I didn't want to leave. I would have glued myself to a palm tree and stayed there my whole life. No, I was completely trapped. It was the first time I ever went diving. It was in Punta Cana. That was lovely as well. I loved it. But the experience I had in the Maldives was, that was just unique. I mean, it was incredible. I did 2 dives there. I did a tri-dive because I was not even open water then. And then I did another tri-dive because I loved my first tri-dive so much. You know, it was just like deep enough to really enjoy it. And then I didn't want to leave. I returned to Berlin because I had to, because I was living in Berlin and I had to work. And the whole time my head was just stuck in the Maldives. Every time I had free time, I would just sit there, remember the Maldives. I had memorized the song that would play during breakfast, and it would just play in my head all the time. I figured out how to play it in the guitar. I'm not good at playing the guitar, but I can play the breakfast song from the Maldives hotel. And it was just like a trap. And eventually I thought to myself, okay, so imagine you did it, you won, okay? You are in the Maldives, you live in the Maldives, that's what you do every day. What do you do with your time? And I said to myself, clearly I am on the beach, you know? And it's like, okay, fine, but what do you do on the beach? And I'm like, I snorkel, which is what I spent the whole time I was in the Maldives doing. Okay, and then what? Like, is that all you do? You snorkel? And I'm like, I snorkel and I pick up these plastics because they just look wrong on the corals. And I create some sort of a way to get rid of the plastics and to have them recycled, and then I was like, okay, so now we're talking. So this fridge was abandoned by the trash, which is not where you put these fridges, because then they end up burning. And we have reconverted it into a washing basin for the EcoDive. So I have a cover, I can uncover it, and then here we have for washing BCDs and for washing things I get out of the sea and upcycled goods and so on.
Yeah,
so I have it's a double basin. Like, it would be really, really expensive and crazy to try to get this built. And I don't know, we got these drains made so that I can actually get rid of all the water and it goes directly into the sewer system. Yeah. I have a product that is biodegradable, so I'm actually able to use soaps and things and not be guilty or sad or anything.
Yeah.
Well, we go into the water over there. There's the entry point, and then I come out with the things. I sort them. We have mesh bags that are kind of like this, that all the trash is in. I open it. I see what is usable, what is not usable, and then I clean it. I deep clean it in here. And then I have...
so you just put them here?
I put water, and I put, depending on how dirty it is, I put the biodegradable soap. Or if it's heavier soiled, I have another biodegradable product that's for boats.
Okay.
And I put that on it. I let it sit for a little bit. And then I take it out of here, dry it, and then I have a bucket with a machine that deep cleans through ultrasounds. This is just for diving gear.
That's just for diving gear. Okay.
Here I clean the regulators, I clean the masks,
okay.
BCDs, and so on, the suits. A little bit of...
You make then the garbage useful.
Yes, that's the other side of the coin. Because I grew up in India, and basically the problem is that there are some countries where the general person's level of problems is so high, their problems are so bad. Their children, the face got eaten by a rat, they can't afford to have as many children as they have. These are very deep-rooted problems. So if you come to them with there's garbage on your beach, they're like, well, sorry, overwhelmed. But if you are able to teach them a way to generate an income from that plastic, then suddenly it's a lot more motivating. And I thought a lot of the trash I find under the water can be salvaged. It can be cleaned and recycled. It can be upcycled into something else, and then it stays out of the water. It's a very nice way to make it out of the water. So I found I was going to say I was very lucky, but I don't really think it was luck. I think I think there's a reason for things. And I met these incredibly talented artists who just come up, and something that I've cleaned, a piece of cloth, I'm like, okay, it's a piece of cloth, it's clean. They come in and they see a handbag, they see a wallet, they see a sculpture, and they make these crazy things. And then when I take it to Asia, when I take it to Africa, I take it to other places, encourage the locals. They make beautiful things with their hands, beautiful. So, start looking at all that garbage as material rather than garbage, free raw material that you can use. And then later on, I want to also implement 3D printing. But that would be a later stage of the project, where I would like to just directly reprint some of the plastics that we find and teach people who live in coastal areas how to use these recycling machines, the 3D printing machines, and be able to print things on their own without intervention from me or anybody else. They're made out of a dinghy, which is a little inflatable boat, and a pair of jeans, some diving gear, and some pieces of leftover material, just like material that was going to get trashed. And I love this, check it out. This is a seatbelt. So it's all these like crazy issues. The piece of leather is also spare from it was going to get trashed. It's all like the little everything, the thread, everything.
Yeah.
Everything on here, and it just looks mean. It just looks so cool.
Yeah, it is. You were an actress.
Yes.
Then you were a sound engineer in
Yes.
Berlin. And now you do the diving. Like, that's a crazy story, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, well, yes, that was it was a crazy chase. What happened was that
Let's start with the actress thing in New York.
yeah, that was the acting is the first thing that really caught my attention because I find I had, especially at that time, an avid hunger for memorizing text that I found interesting. And once I memorize something, I don't forget it. And I felt like I had to do a lot of acting in my real life anyways. And I felt like I was pretty good at it. So I thought I might as well get paid for it if I'm doomed to, be putting on a character anyways. I'll just get paid for it. And I went into it not knowing what acting was about at all. I got very lucky, especially the second acting school I was at, the New Actors Workshop. It changed my whole life. Like, I still apply things that I learned there in contexts that have nothing to do with acting directly. I really loved it, but it was all about me. It was all about Cass, like I did a show, the show was great, and I, Cass, did a great show. Or I, Cass, now understand this human situation better, or I understand myself better. But at the end, it was all about me. And when I changed into sound, I didn't do it because I was tired of acting or I really missed acting, but I wanted to get paid for my work. So I realized the sound engineer always gets paid, otherwise there's no sound. I did the sound engineering, I started getting hired right away. So then I started making money very fast. And but it was also about me. I, Cass, have done this great song, or I, Cass, have managed to nail this guitar. And then I found when this whole thing with the diving started to go into my mind and I started to do it, I realized it's not about me. It doesn't matter what I'm doing or not doing. The trash is there. It needs to not be there. We found bicycles.
Okay.
Like, they're actually, the last one we found, somebody stole it. So it's like they stole the bicycle that had come out of the ocean. That's how cool it looked. But the ocean had been, the bicycle had been sitting there for at least a year.
Okay.
And there is a lot. There's bicycles, there are pieces of engine, there's washing machines. I found a computer with monitor attached, and the cable. So I don't know how that got there. A keyboard. I found routers. I found, I'm not even going to mention batteries and all that because we know that's there. Kitchenware, lots of kitchenware. Tools, all sorts of tools, hammers, wrenches. I found a crowbar, which was great, the big crowbars. So we scrap metal, there's a lot of metal in the water.
Yeah.
This is a chain, and he just uses scrap metal to build animals, sea creatures, which I think is brilliant.
And
they
that's
work.
what's that?
This is a door holder. You open the door, you put that there, and then it doesn't shut in your face anymore. Or you can just put it on a desk and have it look really cool. You can have a really cool desk just by putting this on it. This is a Stingray. It's actually an electric ray. But
You feel a lot of empathy towards the animals.
I do. I always have felt a lot of empathy. Although I felt like I had a weird animal racism before, where I thought that for some reason mammals or animals that were on Earth, like on the ground, had different personalities. Like one elephant is not the same as a different elephant. One tiger is not the same as a different tiger. Dogs, cats, birds. But I didn't see that in fish. I thought, one sardine is the same as another sardine. They're small, you eat them.
Yeah.
And then I started getting into the water and I realized that is completely not true. It's so far from the truth. They are really different from each other. You have individuals. You have individuals in species you wouldn't think, like sea urchins. Sea urchins, they're almost a plant. They're close to being a plant, but you see behaviors in them, like one sea urchin is always scared and is always putting things on top. They all do that. They all pick up shells and try to hide, which I think, for an animal without a brain trying to hide, there's a lot of things we don't understand, and I'm fascinated by that.
And the crabs things, you know,
That's
the
yes. They make deals. They make deals all the time. Yeah, there's a mollusk who made a deal with a specific kind of crab, and each mollusk has its crab. They make a lifelong arrangement. Normally, crabs eat mollusks, but this mollusk will allow the crab to go inside. The crab has eyes that stick out, so it's able to look through the crack and see if there's a predator. If there's a predator coming by, they have a special pinch, which means close, danger, and then the clam will close. And after a little bit, the clam will open a little bit, the crab will look, predator is gone, different pinch, open, we're safe. So, I mean, that's a language, you know? How do two animals who don't have a brain, basically, I mean, they have very basic brains and digestive systems and so on, how do they come up with a code that says, if I pinch you this way, it means that, and let me in, I won't eat you, and then I will be protected by your I mean, it's just so complex that I realize we have no idea of what the brain is, how intelligence works, what allows an animal to be empathic, because I find they are empathic.
Yeah.
They help each other. And, you know, so then I was just blown away by what I saw under the water. This is also from Kala, so it's the same person who made this bag. And this is diving gear. This is from Publicity Sign, one of those signs. And then this is diving gear that she's recycled into a wall. It is just so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
I just love it. If it gets wet, or, I mean, hopefully you don't want to get it wet because you don't want your money to get wet, but it's waterproof. So there you go. This one is from a life raft as well. Look at this.
Yeah, you have like the whole pack, the wallet and the bag. It
It's like
goes together, right?
when she made it, I saw everything orange she had made. I bought. I was like, I can't help it. It's like beyond my control. Because the thing is, I mean, honestly, like I lived in Berlin. Something like this in Berlin, everybody would be behind it, trying to own it. You know, it's just not something you see every day.
Yeah.
And it's great because there's zippers. It's safe. You know, you can close it. People can't steal your stuff. You can't accidentally dropping if you're partying too hard. Here's all these wonderful creations. I'm just like mad about them.
You mentioned Berlin, you mentioned India, you speak lots of languages. Where all that come from?
I think it comes from, I had great parents, and my parents took me and my little brother everywhere they went. So they didn't leave us in Spain with my grandparents or anything like that. In my family, I'm the dumb one. Like everybody else speaks more languages than I do. My dad was half German, half Spanish, and spoke fluent German, Spanish, English, French, and Italian.
And how many languages do you speak?
I speak fluent French, Spanish, and English, and then conversational German, Greek, and Italian. I understand bits and pieces of other, like when I was very little, I spoke Hindi. But then when we moved to Greece, I started getting it confused with the Greek. So now it's a weird thing where I understand when they speak here and there, but I don't remember how to say things. There was one time in New York, I went up to a Flohmarkt and I was trying to buy a necklace, and the guy was Indian. I told him I'd lived in India. And he suddenly comes up to me and he says in Hindi, he says, "Tora naam kya hai?" And I didn't understand what he was saying, but I found my mouth said, "Mera naam Kasilda hai." And I was like, oh, wow, okay. So I did understand what that was, and what I thought was gibberish was actually the answer. So it's in the back of me somewhere.
Sí,
ya está.
Porque claro,
Pues, ¿y eso cómo te enteras si se puede...?
Esto se lo acabo de dejar ahora al mecánico porque...
Si c'est à moi ou pas. Comment? Je suis allée demander si j'ai le droit ou pas, si c'est à moi ce point ou pas. Ils m'ont dit oui.
You actually live on the boat.
Yeah.
And the reason for that was your dog.
Yes. Yeah, and I had a dog called Nico. And she was the best. There's a lot of things that are great that happened in my life because of her, but that was definitely probably her best present. I wanted to move to Tenerife. I was still in Berlin, and there was no way to rent an apartment if you owned a dog and didn't know anyone here. So I tried for 6 months. I offered to pay in advance, a whole year in advance, nothing. It was just not possible. So I just still wanted to move here, and Basically, a friend of a friend had a boat, and he works fixing boats, so he didn't really have a lot of time for his own boat. And he had been living in the boat, but had just met a woman that he'd fallen crazy in love with. He's still with her. He couldn't live in the boat. I took care of the boat for him. And at the end, when I found an apartment, I didn't want it. I thought the boat was a lot better, and I just bought the boat. And then, about a year later, I took a sailing course.
Cool. What are you doing, Noodles? This is the captain of the boat.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
And it seems like you found your favorite spot on the earth just here, right? You have like great social life.
Yes, and I mean, I'm a quasi-autistic person. I'm not a person who is always going to a party. I mean, I did that while I was doing sound engineering and whatnot, but it's just a great environment. It's small enough that it's not super crowded, and it's calm and quaint and whatnot. The people are always changing. You always get new neighbors. You always get people come in and out. And then there's the locals, the ones who are always here. And everyone loves the project. I mean, there would be no project if it wasn't like that. There's no way I would have been able to build all of this on my own.
Hola.
I come to the marina, I have an ecology for, they just, everything they could have done to help me do the project, they've done. So with that kind of support, of course, I come here, I find a diving center. I would like to be formed as a diver. I've only gone under the water 14 times, and they taught me so much. It's all the information they could have given me, all the tips and tricks. So of course it's working. Of course the project is coming out. Because at this point is many people.
And how the people can contact you to participate in it?
They can contact me through WhatsApp, they can contact me through Instagram, through Facebook, through the website. We have a website as well. Phone number, comments, anything. Like really, I'm very approachable at this point.
And very open.
Yes, because this is just, I'm so happy with it. I feel like I really found my calling.
In the shot.
Yeah.
In the shot.
That's my
not
production
around
assistant, yeah.
He can be a co-star.
She's so natural.